guys, welcome back. It's Shelby and today we are turning a Halloween decoration bowl that I literally never use. I bought this maybe 2 years ago for super cheap, I think at the impulse section at Target for like $3. And I always forget to put it out. I never actually use it for Halloween. So I was going through my closet and cleaning things out, and I was trying to figure out what I should get rid of, what I should donate, just kind of doing the spring purge type thing. And I thought, well, I never use it, but it's also one of those things where it's a perfectly good object and bowl, and I have trouble getting rid of that. Yes, I know I'm a total pack rat, but I want to use it to craft with instead. So I figured it's very Halloween-y. It's a spider web. There is no saying it's not a spider web. It's definitely a spider web. So I need to make it not look like a spider web, but I thought I could turn it into just a bowl to, I don't know, either put fruit in or just decorative objects for the table. Just make it look a little bit more all year round instead of completely Halloween. So I have this twine, and that's basically all I'm going to be using, and some scissors, and we're going to transform this spiderweb metal Halloween bowl into something really great and useful that I can use all year round. But I will put what I use down in the description along with my socials if you want to give it a try yourself. And yeah, let's get going. So what I'm going to do first is just pull out a ton of this thread because I don't really want a ton of knots on here. I'm thinking per section I'll need some, but I also can't weave this through the spider web. So I'm thinking I'm just gonna unravel a ton of it, just hold it and let it go basically, and just, pull some thread loose until I have enough that I think I can work with it. And then let's see if I can get it rolling back to me. I can, yay. It just went all around the floor and came back to me. That worked perfectly. So, and I'm just gonna cut it. This is kind of an arbitrary length that I'm cutting, but it's a lot of thread. I'll show you in a second. So mainly I'm just guessing on the length, but hopefully I don't have to just have a bunch of knots in my bowl. Probably per section at least 2, maybe more, but hopefully not. But like I said, this is too big to weave through the little spiderweb threads. So this is going to the side, and we're just gonna work with the thread itself. So here is the length of thread I cut both sides. So what I'm showing you is half of it, because it's just this ginormous loop, probably 10 or 15 feet. I don't even know, it's a ton, but just grab one end and we're just going to tie it along the bottom. I'm just gonna thread it through once, thread it back through, and then just tie a little knot on the bottom. I think just a little square knot should work. There's not gonna be a lot of pressure on it, so just gonna tie a little knot so that it holds itself. We'll worry about cutting the ends off later. And that's just gonna give us a starting point to start weaving with, just like that. And mainly what I'm going to do is pull the other thread end all the way through, and I'm going to be skipping each and every other spoke. So I'll go over one, under, over, under, over, under, and kind of get a weaving pattern because I really don't want it to have that spiderweb effect. So it came under, so I'm gonna go over, under, and I'm just gonna do this all in one thing and then pull it through. I think that'd be easier. So it's under, I'm gonna go over, under, over, under, over, and around. So just like that. You can kind of see over, under, over, under. I'm just gonna pull it through just like that, and we'll see what we end up with. This thread is long. Maybe I overestimated the length I needed. Or maybe it's perfect and then I'll go to cut another one and misdo it. But there we go, kind of unspin it a little bit, pull it all the way over against the side thing. So you can tell this is gonna take a while to get done, but that's what I wanna do. Now when I'm going back, let me find the end. I'm gonna speed this up. You won't have to watch all of it. I just wanna explain what I'm doing. Find the other end, there we go. So it's over around here, and what I wanna do is not follow the same path. So on the way back, right here, it went in, out, in, and around. I want it to go over, under, so that the thread is doing the opposite of what it did on the way back. So every other spoke and every other thread length is going to reveal just a little flash of the silver spider web, but it's not going to be bars covered, bar covered, bar. It's gonna be flash, 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 all the way up. That's the goal, that's what we're going for. And yeah, so I'm just going to probably change the camera angle so that I don't have to hold it up like this for the, I don't know, hopefully not 2 hours that it's gonna take me to do this. But yeah, I'm gonna speed it up. I'll kind of walk you through the process of what I'm doing. Not really real time because it'll be sped up, but then you guys can see what I'm doing. So this is just kind of over, under, move it off to the side. Just like that, if that makes sense. And we're gonna cover up the whole spider web bowl. But I'll change the camera angle so it's a little bit easier to watch. And we'll get going. Okay, great. So I have the bowl down, and basically what I'm doing is just following the exact same pattern that I just showed you. I'm just doing it a little bit faster. And what this is doing is just covering all of the spokes of the spider web so that I'm going to end up with what looks like a beautiful twine bowl. Basically, the most important part is just making sure that while the twine is pulled quite tightly and taut, it's not tight enough to distort or bend the metal wire of the bowl, especially because once we put fruit in it or anything heavy, it is going to pull on it slightly. Not too bad, but you know, don't warp what you're working on. The main thing is I'm pushing it to the side quite tightly so that the twine itself is not a bunch of strands that you can kind of see gaps through. I want it to look like a solid piece of woven, you know, twine or really anything that's woven. So I am doing that. And when I started, it goes all the way down to the triangle, but the top of the basket is quite wider and larger than the inside. So as it's going, I'm just kind of going further and further up the spokes and just making sure that I'm taking the twine down to the very edge just as much as possible, just to make sure that I do get that coverage in there, because that's really what I'm looking for. And it actually didn't turn out too bad with the way that the twine is going. You can't really tell that part of it goes down to the bottom and part of it doesn't. It's all a nice straight vertical line, so it all looks pretty good and pretty cohesive so far. Okay, one wedge done. This took me about 33 minutes. Yeah, but it looks really cool. So the silver's not peeking out really the way I thought it would unless you get close to it. But this looks super legit. Like, I can imagine this whole bowl looking like that and just having the cool scalloped edging. I was considering like rounding the edging off, but now I think I'm totally just gonna keep it. So this went all the way down, and then I kind of had to go just a little bit to the side, and I thought it would make a pattern that you'd really be able to tell, but you really can't. Like, you can't tell that it doesn't go down that far, so I'm just gonna do the same thing all the way around, but this is already really cool. So ignore the change in lighting. It is getting dark as I am doing this, and the project is taking slightly longer than anticipated. So basically what I'm doing is literally the exact same thing with every section, just pulling out a giant amount of rope. I am attempting to knot everything at the bottom of the bowl, but in the center. I'm trying really hard not to knot anything halfway up the sides or up at the top of the bowl. All of the knots of my twine are just in that tiny little smallest circle at the very bottom on the underside of the bowl. It's just keeping it, you know, more cohesive, clean look. You can kind of see there's sticking up a little bit, but it's really not bad. So yeah, just basically take each section in and of itself, continue to have patience and wind it in and out and in and out. There are little gaps at the side, so that's not really a big deal for me, so I'm leaving them, but there are ways you can fill them in if you so choose. But just keep weaving and weaving and weaving until you feel like you can't do it anymore, and then turn on a show or a song and forget what your hands are doing and just go at it for hours, and then you will end up with a completely covered woven twine bowl that looks a little something like this. All right, so I am finished. It looks fantastic. I'm going to show you in just a sec. But yeah, earlier when I said I hope it doesn't take 2 hours, now I'm wishing it only took 2 hours. It took like closer to 4. Definitely more of a project than I was expecting it to be. One strength I have is that I am a very patient person, an incredibly patient person. In fact, that I can weave string through wire for 4 hours straight and not quit, I think. For better or worse. But now I have a really cool little fruit bowl, trinket bowl, whatever I want. It turned out awesome. You can really see the different weaving actually in the ring light of the tripod. It looks really cool. So little flashes of metal, so it's not all that kind of rustic brown twine. It's got a little bit of bling action going on. It's got some interest in the shape with the scallops, but it doesn't scream spiderweb anymore. Like, it's no longer a Halloween decoration. Now it's a year-long bowl, and I'm actually really pleased with it, and I really like it. Initially, I was planning on using ribbon for this project, and then I found the twine. I don't actually remember purchasing the twine. I think maybe a friend gave it to me. So that on top of the $3 bowl, like, this was a really cheap bowl, and it looks quite nice. It looks rather expensive, like maybe, I don't know, pay 15, 20 bucks for that in a store. 5, I don't know. I don't buy bowls often, which is why we don't have one, which is why we needed one. But I do really like it, and I think it turned out well, and I do like that I chose the twine that I did when I found it, and rather than the ribbon that I was planning on it. I think that it took a lot longer because the ribbon was much thicker, so I had to go back and forth quite a bit more with the twine than I would have with the ribbon. But I think it's worth it, honestly. I really like this. I think it turned out well, and while it was a long project, it was really easy to do, very cost effective, and now I have a really cool bowl for my counter to hold fruit or trinkets or literally anything I want, just because it's really awesome and really pretty. So anyway, you guys, that was it. That was transforming Halloween decor into everyday useful items. I hope you like it. If you did, let me know by hitting that thumbs up. Let me know what you think down in the comments, and thanks so much for watching. Bye for now.